Welcome guys, this is Ola from Stop Me Oh channel. Today we are discussing Life is Strange 2. Again, this is like a Life is Strange 2 news sort of a video. We're going to discuss three things. So, episode's title, episode's cover art that was released just the other day, and we're going to discuss footage that was released on Eurogamer's YouTube channel. They basically released that video and they discussed episode 5, and they included some of the gameplay. Now, I wouldn't call this a spoiler, but it does reveal some plot elements when it comes to episode 5, so if you don't want to know, if you want to play it like fully blindly, then you shouldn't really watch that video. We're going to discuss the episode's title first and episode's cover art, then we're going to move on to the gameplay, so I'll basically warn you. Now before we jump right into it, I would like to point out that I finally bought batteries and that Stop Me Oh sign is finally shining, sort of, except I don't know, I think camera is not really catching that. Like basically that looks like a square of light, so yeah, I don't know, like I hope you're enjoying that somehow. Yeah, episode's title. There's really no surprises there. Well, at least they didn't call that episode Journey's End, which I thought for a while that it might be that it might be episode's title. No, luckily it's not. The episode's title is Wolves. Now that's pretty cool for two reasons. First of all, it fits some other titles like Rules or Roads. It somehow fits in. Also because it does have that sentimental vibe. This really is the Journey's End, and I have no idea how it's going to end. I was told that there are some spoilers, there are some leaks going around here and there, but I do want to play it blindly, except for that footage that we will watch today. I do want to play that blindly, so except for some plot elements, I have no idea what's going to happen. I still don't know if we're going to actually make it into Mexico, though that cover art that was revealed suggests so, or if we're actually going to trial, if we're going back to Seattle, if we're going back to Beavers Creek. Are we going to meet old friends? So many questions and so few answers. I don't really know. Like, for a theorist, I really suck. But yeah, that cover art that I mentioned, it looks like Daniel will blow up the wall. However that sounds, it does look like he will blow up the wall. I remember that someone said it right after episode 4, under my gameplay in the comments section. Someone said that Daniel will most probably blow up the wall, and at the time the idea seemed somehow ridiculous to me. Like, it didn't seem reasonable. I guess they cannot really legally cross the border. I doubt they have their passports with them. Do they even have passports? They don't really have any documents, and obviously if they tried crossing the border legally, they would be stopped because police is looking for them. So yeah, that there has to be another way. Like, I don't really know how people cross that wall. I doubt that wall looks the way it does in the episode. I think they sort of overestimated Trump's plan and they expected there to be a wall. From what I've been reading, it's like more of a fence, like a structured fence. Here and there it possibly is a wall, but it doesn't look like that. Certainly not everywhere. I suppose, given the fact that Daniel does have his superpowers, he will blow it up. And so we're adding yet another crime to the list of crimes, because they are destructing public property. That's a big one. I know that there's a difference between like federal crimes and like normal crimes in the States. I'd say this is a federal crime. I don't know why I think so, but I think it's just more serious. They destroyed government's property, so that's a big deal. And I want to point out that Daniel did it, not Sean, so the moment I get a chance, I will tell everyone that Daniel's the one behind all the crazy things that have been happening. Like, I want to protect Sean most of all. I'm not the biggest fan of Daniel. Like, sometimes he's likable, but based on that footage that I saw from the episode 5 Wolves, he's not gonna get really any better, surprisingly. I'm gonna discuss that as well. So yeah, those of you guys who don't wanna be spoiled at all, this is where you probably should stop watching that video. Like I mentioned before, these are not big spoilers. Doesn't reveal much, to be honest. I would say it's 5 minutes of gameplay. I'm gonna have to turn the voice down because the Eurogamer's lady is talking over the footage. I think there's original sound beginning of that video and then she starts talking, and we don't wanna be listening to that. So I'm gonna turn the volume down and make it work somehow.
Hey. Wake up, Sean. Dude, come on.
What?
Right, basically this is where the lady starts talking, so yeah, let's have a look. That was already revealed in that little sneak peek that they released like a week ago. Basically we can see Sean and Daniel in the Grand Canyon, I believe. They're admiring the views, and like I noticed in that little sneak peek, they did spend a night there. I think it must have been really cold. I mean, these places, they're like really warm during the day, but then at night sometimes it's even minus temperatures Celsius wise. I'm not really certain about chronological order. See, they're reaching that place, whatever that place is, and it's safe to assume that Karen lives there. Why didn't they get there together? That's actually a good question. Why didn't they drive with Karen to that place? Seems like Daniel is having nightmares about Elizabeth. I mean, who wouldn't? But like, here's a really annoying part when it comes to Daniel. One would hope that he'd sort of develop over the course of 5 episodes. One would hope that he'd learn to control his powers wisely, based on what happened with... what was that dog's name? Based on what happened with the dog and based on what happened with the cougar. But it doesn't seem like he's actually controlling his powers wisely. See, this is really nice. It just seems like they're appreciating the fact that LGBT people exist. It seems like there's a gay couple living in that village as well. I think Sean will explain that to Daniel, which is actually a very, very nice thing to do. That's nice that developers are doing that. Now, like I mentioned, this is awkward to react to because they're sort of jumping ahead and back and forth with that footage. This is the fragment that I was talking about. Daniel is playing with a Scorpio, like maybe this is part of the gameplay when someone made the wrong choices with Daniel, but look what he's doing. That's really, really bad. Like, he threw the Scorpio, like he basically threw the Scorpio. Sean mentioned he tortured the Scorpio. That's not cool, like that's not something I would expect out of him in episode 5, unless this is part of the bad behavior footage gameplay. I'm sort of thinking that the game might end with the wolf's story. We usually start the episodes with what's going to happen, but we know that there's no episode 6. So I'm thinking by the end of episode 5, we'll actually see the end of that wolf's animation, which is a very nice animation. Karen's bed. This is like Karen's trailer, this is where she's living. Either Karen was desperate for a job or she loved working with kids. I don't know what kind of a place is that. See, Stanley and Arthur, they're like a couple. There's something very interesting that people noticed in that gameplay. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. See, it doesn't seem like Daniel's really hiding his abilities from people. Like someone mentioned that in the comments. Daniel showed his abilities, revealed his superpowers to so many people already, like Finn, Cassidy, all these people, and his grandparents, Karen, and now people from that little village. Oh look, they actually have like a telescope and constellations book. Seems like we might be stargazing at night, which might be a nice scene. How come we have to walk? I don't know, is this happening like before visiting Karen's camp or village, or after? Right, I realized that probably sounded a bit chaotic, but the footage that they were using in their video, it was just all over the place, so we sort of had to jump back and forth. Here's the gist of it. We're going to actually blow up the wall, probably in the second half of the episode. Now, are we going to get arrested right there before crossing the border, or are we going to cross the border? Now, that's a big question, because if we cross the border, then it's more than certain we'll actually reach Puerto Lobos. If we don't cross the border and we get arrested, then we're gonna go back to Seattle or to Beavers Creek or wherever, and we're going to face a trial. Maybe both, actually. Maybe both possibilities are on the table. Maybe these are some of the endings. We know that there will be multiple endings. But before we get to that moment, we'll actually reach Karen's village, which is something that I appreciate a lot. I've been saying this here and there. One of the faults of Life is Strange 2, to me personally, is that we don't get to create meaningful relationship with people that surround us in every single episode. I feel like one episode or like 1.5 is not really enough to create a powerful, meaningful relationship with anyone. And we're talking about our mother, so Karen. Now, some people were sort of judging her because of the fact that she left Sean and Daniel. I don't want to get into that, but let's just say that I appreciated Karen's character. I think she was interesting compared to other characters, at least. So I'm very happy that we'll actually get to explore that relationship in episode 5. We'll get to spend some time in Karen's village, whatever that is. There will be a gay couple in there, so that will be interesting to see how Sean handles that with Daniel. I believe for Daniel this will be his first gay couple. Maybe except for Sean and Finn. I didn't play that path, so I'm not really certain if Sean discussed that with Daniel, but that was a bit of a fling. I doubt there was a need to actually talk to Daniel about it. Or maybe he did, I'm not really certain. Now here's the most interesting thing. Someone noticed that. If you have a look at that, turns out David's RV is in there. How is that possible? Look again, there is that Max and Chloe's painting from outside of Chloe's house. Does this mean we'll get to see Max and Chloe in that episode? I mentioned before that I really wouldn't want to see Max and Chloe as like secondary characters somewhere in the background, but honestly at this point I feel like I got excited and I'd love to see them in that village. It would be absolutely fantastic to find out that they're together, that they found a place of their own. They're surrounded by creative people and free-spirited people. It fits them so much. Like, obviously I'd want better for them than to live middle of the desert, but maybe this is just like a phase. They're just figuring something out. It will be very cool, so I can't wait to play that episode titled Wolves. It will be out in less than 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll get to play it in like a week. I'm not really certain yet, but do stick around. I will get an early access to that episode, I think. If I do, I will post it as soon as possible, as soon as the embargo goes down. I'm not promising anything because there are some I have some technical problems with my laptop, but I'll try to post both the episode and the episode's review as soon as possible. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Do subscribe. We'll be providing Life is Strange 2 content. From what I heard lately, there's a bright future for the Life is Strange franchise. Let's just leave it at that. Please remember to drop a like and subscribe. There are my social media links down below, so you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There's a Patreon page as well. Big shout out to my patrons. Thank you for watching. This was Ola from Stop Me O channel. You probably can't really see that, but it's there. It says Stop Me O. It really does. Bye.